Hi, I'm Doug from Dynamic Computing, and welcome to episode 110 of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. In a few days, I'm heading to Sacramento, California to the 24th annual AmiWest show. They've been doing it a really long time, and it's North America's largest Amiga-centric show. I first got involved in AmiWest in 2019 when I went out there and I rented a table, showed off some of my goodies there, and gave a couple of presentations. I really had a lot of fun. I met some really fantastic people who are friends to this day. I got to meet and hang out with Mike from Cloanto, who's now our overlord who owns the Amiga Technologies. I got to get to know Trevor from Aeon and spend some time with him. Had an absolute blast at the show. And you'll see some pictures scrolling by here of the fun times I had at the show. And I did a recap presentation, which I will link to right above. In 2020, this strange thing, what's it called? COVID came around, and it just caused all kinds of problems. Maybe you've heard of it, including shutting down most exhibitions last year. Now, AmiWest did go on, but it was mostly a virtual show. I happened to do a presentation on Sunday where I was the host and hosting people from all over the planet Earth on a virtual Q&A session, virtual show off your product session. We had an absolutely fantastic time. It was like 6 or 7 hours, and we just had a blast. You can take a look at that right there. Now, AmiWest is back full steam ahead now with an actual live show. Now, they will also be presenting virtually, and I'll have links to that in the description. But this year, they're going to be doing it in person too, on the 16th and 17th of October. So that's just next weekend coming up. Now, a lot of our out-of-the-country friends won't be making it still due to those silly COVID restrictions that are driving us all crazy. This year's sponsors, though, are a veritable who's who of the Amiga community. I mean, take a look at these sponsors scrolling by here. I mean, we've got Aeon, we've got Amiga Kit, we've got Amiga Addict Magazine, Retro Rewind, Retro Passion. I mean, these are the heavy hitters of the Amiga community, and I recommend you support each and every one of them if you can. I should have some products to show from several of these vendors who can't make it in person. So if you're going to be in the area, pop on by my booth, take a look. Maybe I'll have some products from these fine folks. Now, take a look at who's going to be presenting at the show. Again, you see it scrolling by here. Now, some of them are going to be virtual presentations over Zoom. Some of them are going to be live presentations like myself on Sunday afternoon. But all of them are going to be awesome and fun, and I recommend you tune in if you can't make it there in person. Now, I'm hoping I can squeak in another presentation on Saturday too. We'll see if time permits it, but you know me, it's a bit hard for me to keep quiet. You'll find the link to the YouTube stream in the description. And I also may try to sneak in a live stream or two if time permits. This year, I've reserved count them, two tables at the show instead of one. 2 years ago, I literally just ran out of room and I started creeping in on my neighbor's table. He was cool with that though. This year, I should have plenty of room to show off my stuff. Speaking of stuff that I'm going to show off, let's take a tour of the kind of goodies I'm going to bring and what we're going to be talking about at the show. Come along. My treasured Amiga 1000 is going to be making it back to the show, which is fitting because that's where I purchased it in 2019. I got this as a fairly bare bones Amiga 1000, beautiful keyboard, beautiful mouse, 256K expansion, and this little guy now. Well, you've seen my videos on it, and if not, look at that, a link to my video. This little guy, we've pimped out. We've got a vampire in here, hence the beautiful retargetable screen. We've got one of Eduarana's CPU relocators in here. We have the absolutely awesome RGB to HDMI interface that our good friend Andrew Hutching, also known as Linux Jedi, did. This little machine is a beautiful machine and certainly one of my favorites. We're going to be spending some time with her there. Next up is my beautiful Amiga 3000. You've seen my episodes on this. Over the years, I've taken this from parts and pieces and a plexiglass plate I had to put in there that I didn't have since I didn't have the hard drive mounts, didn't have a power supply until my good friend Jack Kalk from Pints and Amiga sent one to me, to the beautiful machine she is today with John Hertel's Re-Amiga board that's in here. Now, great news, of course, John knows that I had issues with the Re-Amiga board he sent me. The CPU didn't have an MMU, and the RGB port was absolutely shot. It would only work maybe 20% of the time. He was gracious enough to send me a replacement board. I just had to pop out the chips and pop the new ones in. This new board, so far so good, is running perfect. Thanks, John, you the man. Now, I've really bumped up this little guy too. I've got every slot filled. She's got an A2065 Ethernet card in here. She's got a Retina Z3 retargetable graphics card in here. She's got a Phase 5 Z3 RAM board, expandable up to 64 megs of RAM, but it only has 16 in here. So total, this little guy has 32 megabytes of RAM plus 2 megs of chip. And lastly, I've got my VLab video card in here that allows for live video captures, and that's going to be fun at the show. We're going to be having some fun capturing stills and doing fun things with that. So you may be saying, Douglas, so what happened to that Re-Amiga board from John Hertel that was mostly working but not quite? Well, I talked to John about that, and I told him I'd like to take it to the show and show it off just so people can see what the Re-Amiga board looks like close up. And then he said, if somebody wants to buy it with whatever chips are currently on it, I'll sell it at half price what it would normally sell for. Now, here's the board right here. Beautiful board. It absolutely does work, and full disclosure, the 68030, the MMU, does not work on here, and the RGB port right there does not work properly, even though I've tried to repair it a couple of times. Now, somebody smarter than me, absolutely you could fix that RGB port. Somebody smarter than me, you desolder this 68030 and replace it with another one, your MMU's just fine. So this could theoretically be a really, really, really nice Re-Amiga board if someone's willing to put a little time and soldering experience into fixing it. Now, it does not come with all the chips because the custom chips were mine. It's going to have a SCSI chip on here. It's got all the RAM, 16 megs of fast RAM, 2 megs of chip RAM, that's on here. I'll put the Amiga OS 3.1 ROMs in here, and it comes with an FPU, but you're going to have to populate this with some of your own custom chips. But the cool thing is, everything else is already soldered here on the board and ready to go. So for half price, somebody's going to get themselves a good deal. Next up, my beautiful Amiga 600 is going to be getting some love at this show. You guys saw my video, there's a link to it. This is the one I got from Tim Drew, aka Sanxian in the UK. She's a PAL model. She runs absolutely beautifully. Just got back from having it recapped by my good friend Frank from Retro Rewind at retrorewind.ca. Beautiful. Now, Frank also removed the RF modulator from the Amiga 600 when he had it in his hands. And that's so we could hook up this little beauty right here. And what is this, you might be asking? Well, that is an RGB to HDMI video adapter for the Amiga 600 that literally plugs right into the Denise socket, and boom, you're done. No running jumper wires or anything like that. Then this is the nice little guy that goes out the back port where the RF modulator used to be to give you beautiful, rock solid HDMI, and it works perfect. So Douglas, you're saying, why is this not inside your Amiga 600 and instead sitting outside of it? Well, as you know, the Amiga 600, when you put a Furia card in here like I have, is a bit of a power-hungry beast. So what happens if I have the Furia in here, works absolutely perfect. If I put the RGB to HDMI in here with the Pi Zero, absolutely perfect. I put both of them in at the same time, freezes the system up, most likely due to power. It's just not getting enough power. I tried 3 of my power supplies, same results. Sometimes it'll last a minute, sometimes it lasts 15 seconds, always freezes up. So I have a new power supply on order from my good friend Steve Clifford from Retro Passion, and I'm really hoping it's here in the next couple of days in time so I can put the RGB to HDMI inside the Amiga 600 and have both of them working flawlessly. If not, I'll just pop the Furia out, and at the show I'll pop this in and we'll spend some time talking about it. Now I've got a nice Gotek drive in here. You can see the little OLED here. This is going to be the main games machine for my booth at the show. I've got it loaded with a bunch of the most modern Amiga games, several of them, and we're going to be using this to demonstrate the Amiga playing some video games. Should be fun. We're going to be playing some Dread on here, that new first-person shooter that they have the demo out for. We're going to be getting the demo of Creeping Me Out from my buddy Mixels, who's currently in the process of finishing that game up. That looks really cool. Be playing some of the new Pac-Man game on here and the new Turbo Tomato game that you've heard so much about. We'll have some Turbo Tomato competitions. Gonna have fun with this Amiga 600. Now over here to the right, we've got the Amiga 1200. This is going to be my primary work and demonstration machine. Anything I do demonstrating things from the Amiga Art Contest, I'm going to do on here. I'm actually going to be presenting the actual live stream in a few weeks of the Amiga Art Contest right from the Amiga 1200. It's going to do everything if possible. And that's because this little guy, in addition to its 040 Blizzard board it has in there with 64 megs of RAM, it also has individual computers MK2 flicker fixer in here. So this can display almost any display, any resolution you want. I can get 1280 by 1024 in ham 8 mode. Works beautifully on here. So I use this to display everything from the Amiga Art Contest. So she's going to be getting a workout at the show. So is that it, you ask? Is that all I'm bringing to the show? Nay. You guys remember my Amiga Adventures series where I took the Amiga 2000 from pieces and parts, built it up into be an awesome little machine. It's the same machine I've also did my, my review of the Pi Storm on. She's coming with me too. Now, this is going to be an Amiga 2000 with a TF card in it, the Terrible Fire card, which has the 030 chip and the 68882 chip and 4 megabytes of fast RAM. Okay, that's going to be in there on a nice little CPU slot that fits into the CPU slot, and then the board slaps onto that. It's going to have a nice RGB to HDMI interface from my good friends at Retro Rewind. It will have a 16 gigabyte CF card holding the operating system. I'm hovering between whether I'm going to put 3.2 on there or 3.14. I'll see. And a few other little bells and whistles in this little guy. She's freshly recapped, freshly repaired. Just last year I had it completely repaired and all the battery damage repaired. It runs perfect. I also added on two 16-bit ISA slots, you know, and the Amiga 2000 has two 16-bit and two 8-bit ISA slots. So if you've got a bridge board, you can use those slots. I had the 8-bit slots converted into 16-bit slots, which makes it pretty cool if you have a bridge board. So what am I going to do with this Amiga 2000? I'm going to sell it to some nice person. This is a great machine. I absolutely love it. I adore my Amiga 2000. It takes up a lot of room in my studio. I don't have a ton of room in here, and it takes up like 3/4 of the room I do have. I already have an Amiga 2000 that my toaster's in. Absolutely love it. It's a beautiful machine. And I have a spare motherboard and a spare case if anything ever happens to it. So I thought, let's get this into the hands of some nice person at the show. So come take a look if you're interested. I'll be at the AmiWest show in a week. I'll also have some other goodies there that I may be selling. I'll have some cool 10 mark stickers I'll be giving away as a little perk to everybody. And I really hope to see some of you there. And I do hope that I see my good friends Cody and Eric from Pixel Gaiden. 2 years ago they met me at the show. We shared a beer together. This year I hope they come down and I hope we can share 2 beers together. Come on down, guys. Join us for the virtual AmiWest, even if you can't be there in person. Again, the link will be right in the description, and I'll be announcing it even more right before the show starts. Thanks again to my wonderful patrons. You guys are the absolute best. I really, really appreciate it. Now take a look at these great names scrolling over this totally unmodified picture of Cody and Eric from Pixel Gaiden. Nobody touched this. This is exactly how it went down that day. Wouldn't you love to be on this list? Of course you would. So pop on by to patreon.com/10mark for more information. Thank you guys so much. Now, I know it's going to be a great time this year. We're going to meet more great people, have more great fun, and I'll have a full show report after I get back. I'll put together a program just like I did 2 years ago. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at 10mark1. Leave a comment below. Tell me your experiences with Amiga shows in the past, or even modern Amiga show experiences. I'd love to hear about it. And we all still have to meet up for Amiga 35 that was supposed to happen last year. We'll get around to it. But until next time, this is Doug from 10 Minute Amiga Retrocast, signing out to go pack up my Amigas.